right now we're going to be talking about a United States Navy male buoy watch. Is there even such a thing? We're going to also talk about the Summer Glory celebration that's coming up this week in Daphne, Alabama, and how we serve a God who turns things around right now. So have you ever seen those long telescopes that, you know, sailors, formerly sailors, like pirates, I guess, would have? Maybe you've probably seen
Sailors?
it. Or, or yeah,
I was just
sailor.
double checking
Yeah,
it.
sailor, the captain's got a big long
I was just double checking. It sounded like you said the cellulars.
cellular.
I'm with you. All right, we're tracking.
So
Sailors,
yeah.
sailors looking
I was
through
practicing my voice exercises. I am not a hick. I am not a hick. I'm not a hick.
Sailors.
Yeah, I think Pat said yes, you are, but I couldn't understand what he said. So it is a telescope.
Got
A
it.
United States Navy
Telescope?
sailor,
Uh,
like sailing a boat. You got me. Why am I listening to a Marine for? Oh my goodness! Like, you know what a sailor is, right? And so yeah,
we did work with you a few times. Yeah.
those long scopes, right? Those long, like, you pull them out. The
Binoculars.
the thing that Pat played with when he was little. He was the Incredible Hulk looking and things.
Sure.
So yeah, so I think that's the thing right there. Yeah.
Do they still issue that? Is that still issued gear?
Pat, where did you get that, dude? That's pretty cool. Is that right there on the beach? Is that right?
Yeah.
Good, right?
That's right off the coast here.
Right.
Yeah.
It looked familiar. I kind of saw that.
I think you can wear that hat actually.
So yes, he did. I like the way he always pulls it down over his eye like that.
I know, right?
Cool. So they have this thing that they like to do called the male buoy watch, which is, if you're on a ship, you're a sailor for a long period of time on the water for 6 months. You want to hear from somebody that's not, a sailor. You want to hear from somebody on the shore.
Sailor, yeah.
Yeah. So you read the mail, and of course, I don't want to, no Marine jokes. And so, you're just excited about the mail. You're so excited about the mail that it's going to come in. That they know that the new sailor on the boat is pumped about getting a letter from somebody outside of them. So yeah, I was in the Navy, and this is my first boat.
This is important too. Newsflash. That's how communication was done, by mail with a handwritten letter.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say. Yeah, not an E in
this
front
is
of that.
This is important. They didn't email it. They didn't text it to you. They didn't have Facebook. Like, they actually wrote pen to paper and stamped it, mailed it to you.
That's so. Thank you for doing that. This
is very important.
We're trying to let people know before we could even talk about what's happening. We got to kind of build a foundation. That's very important. It was snail mail.
Right.
It was slower than that because they would go on a boat. It took forever. They would deliver all your.
And then they just threw your mail in the ocean and just let it float around.
Yeah, right. Well, how's Grandma doing? Dead 2 years. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. So I was actually did a fashion shoot when I was in the Navy. This is actually a picture of me on the U.S.
Fashion in the Navy. Does those two go together?
Listen, John Travolta. Okay, so yeah. No, we were in New York. Well, you just got to get a picture of what I used to be younger than this. I wasn't always this age.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so this is after I did the Melbourne watch. This is me on the USS Intrepid, not the guy in the front. That was actually one of our officers that came in, but not the guy in the back right, but the guy in the back left. Right. And this is
sure.
me. Yeah. Well, it's a lot of sun out there on the cruise.
Yeah, right.
Ship all the time. And then
that was when you graduated your tech school, right?
Yeah. So
Wow.
this is when
Graduation.
Yeah.
That's a very young fellow right there.
Yeah, he was. I think he was like about 18 or something.
Were you legal?
No, I was not. And this is me
wow.
right after being on that boat. This is on the fantail, the back of the USS Ponce. For some reason, to me, I got the Ponce hat on, but it looks like I'm actually on the USS Dominant, because you can't get that close to the water on a LPD. But I was on a minesweeper, mind you, and a minesweeper. If I could find a minesweeper here, where's a minesweeper? Here's what one looks like. This is kind of a newer one, kind of give you the idea of the size of it. You're looking at this particular minesweeper here, and they're off sweeping the seas of Japan and Korea, and it's a small. That particular boat's 150 or 160 feet maybe, and they'll go off and they'll drag like these otters behind the those ships. And what they're doing when they pull these big long cables with these otters, we call them otters, they would cut the mine anchor wires underneath them, and the mines would come to the top. Allegedly, thank the Lord that I went to school where that happened. And I'm like, so
good to know that you were successful at your job. You didn't fail at any mines.
You know, I was headed towards an administration job already, and I was on a boat in the engine room. It had like oil and stuff in there, and so, and then they're going like, and so we blow minefields up. I'm like, what?
How do I get out of that job?
Yeah, right. 135 foot. So ours is only 135 foot.
Aren't there like Marines that do that job? Come on.
We couldn't fit a Marine on here, man. There wasn't enough room for it. Anyway, so yeah, so this is 135 feet. So this is my first ship. I come out of boot camp. I go straight to the USS Dominant. Take a look at this boat, man. That's a whole boat. That is, and it's made from wood because it can't be a
Can't be metal.
any metal because you know that doesn't work
That's
out
important.
too well. Allegedly, we don't know what happened to that guy ever since he had a metal boat. And so today, I think they built them out of fiberglass. But we would go through this degaussing. Back then, we had is another interpretation you can help with, Steve. We had cassette tapes. It had like a reel-to-reel
Yes.
inside of a plastic thing.
Think of an old school MP3 player, way before your iPad or way before your download.
MP3. We didn't even know what that was, man.
Before your iPad or your iPod.
MP was like the military police. Anyway, so
Put it out there.
and those have magnetic strips. That tape had magnetic strips on it. And so we had all of our music in our racks, which was really, anyway. So when we go through this degaussing, which would demagnetize everything on the boat, so it would lose its magnetic pull, so you don't blow something up. And you find out it erases all your music, everything you had on your tapes. Sort of like you would compare today to a computer virus. Erases
Like putting a magnet next to your hard drive.
Yeah.
Gone.
Does that work?
Gone.
Oh my God. Let's not bring that up. Somebody might do it. And so, and here's one like from the angle, I guess. So what happened was, now you kind of got an idea what a minesweeper looks like. I was sitting in the administrative office on the ship. It's 135 feet. When they carried me on that boat for the first time, and they showed me where this place, I'm like, I started throwing my luggage, my sea bag, and all that in the area. And I said, "Where do I sleep?" And they said, "Right there where you put your sea bag." It was like I have a nightmare even thinking about it. It was terrible.
This is your shelf.
You couldn't even roll over. Your shoulder would hit the rack.
You have to get out, roll over, then go back in your rack.
You know what I got paid? You know what I got paid every month? You would guess how much I got paid. A whole month. It's a big. How much did I get paid? Guess.
We're waiting for the punchline.
No, you don't tell us, guys.
Oh, me? I don't know. It's based
Hey,
off.
you know, we're gonna just if you could just comment in the chat. Since
I'm
Steve's
gonna
not
go ahead
talk-
and I'm gonna throw out $650 a month.
That was close. It was like $600 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible, man. You had to live on the boat because you had no money.
Right.
And so, you know, I'm just pumped about getting correspondence. So I'm down in the administrative office, which is basically like a broom closet with roller chairs in it, but you don't want roller chairs when you're on a ship going 45-degree rolls. So we took a rope and we tied it to our chair and tied it to our desk. And so our chair would do this.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
would've got that.
and they just knew they were waiting to go underway to tell me. Underway means you're out in the water. And they were just waiting to just get on the speaker system and say, "We need a volunteer for Buoy Watch. We have Buoy Watch coming up." And everybody but me knew about this. So I grabbed the sound power telephone rapidly. I was like, I gotta be first. I gotta be
Just let the new
first.
guy volunteer
I
for
gotta
it.
be first, right?
Right.
And so I grabbed the sound power. Do you know what a sound power telephone is? You gotta check this out. This is pretty. These things You know, a lot of people want to abide with the Lord. They just, so this is it right here. Hold on, so listen to this thing. So you go to the wall, you crank it. You're seeing it here. He's going to crank a sound power phone. He's going to talk on it.
Hey, Aaron, what time are we due at the wall? 12:50. Okay, thank you.
So that was me. That was me going. So what time is Buoy watch? That guy sounds like, does that guy sound like Steve or what? And so they said, you happen to make it just in time. You beat everybody else to it. And so Buoy watch, what they said about Buoy watch was that the mail was dropped off by the U.S. Coast Guard on a buoy. A buoy, for people who don't know, is this thing out in the middle of nowhere in the water that kind of marks the depth of a sea or something. And they charted it out on the course, and they knew it was coming up. They knew it was going to be coming up. They knew I would eventually see it. So me and this other guy, he was new too. He volunteered he was a second volunteer. We're the only two on the boat. It's a 135-foot boat, you know. And so I'm just pumped, man. Like, whatever I need to do, they put sound power telephones on us, which is these earmuffs, speaker system, you know, you have right here that you talk. And then he had a set on, and he had a D-ring that you can kind of hook yourself to the thing because the boat was going up and down like this. Right. Spray was happening. You had that long spyglass thing that I showed you a little bit earlier.
Was it always during like the same time of day, or was it like at any time of the day, or like at night?
You only get humiliated once like this. You don't do it twice.
Okay.
So, you know, so I had that big long telescope thing looking out like this, and the guy with me, this is not him, but this is pretty much him right here. Let me see what it is. You got to see this. This is like I-7 or something like that, or I-17. That's it. Yeah, that's it right there. So he had a gaffling hook, hook like that. He had a bag hanging off of him, and he had sound power telephones, you know, on as well. And so here we were, man. We were on the Buoy watch. The boat was going up and down like this. I had this big long telescope, which you can barely hold up. And the captain says, "Let me know when you see this buoy, you know, you get on your phone, get on the sound power phones.
Right.
And you say, you know, it's at 2 o'clock, Captain. It's at 3 o'clock. Buoy at 3 o'clock or whatever." So here we we're looking, you know, and he's looking over the side of the boat, and the water's splashing over our heads. It's just crazy. But I wanted the mail. And so you can't hear anything because you got the phones on, all this kind of stuff. And you're talking to the captain, which is the big guy on the boat. You just got on the boat. It's like, me and the captain are tight. Mm-hmm. He got me for the Buoy watch. And so we're going, and finally this thing they charted on the course, they knew it would show up, and I see the the buoy. And I said, "I see the buoy, I see the buoy." And he goes, "You're supposed to report where it's at. Where it's at, Lancaster, where it's at." And I'm like, "Oh, it's at 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock who? 2 o'clock, Captain," right? All that kind of stuff.
And 2 o'clock is like the cardinal direction. If like people don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You're pointing
12 o'clock right in front of you.
It didn't matter. I'll tell you why it didn't matter. So all of a sudden I look back at him, and he's about to get ready to get the hook to get the buoy coming in. Right. I'm like, "Get ready, man. The buoy is coming up.
It's coming. Don't
right. And so when I want to look back at an angle, I saw the entire ship behind me. Oh my goodness! See if I got a picture of this thing. The entire ship was watching us like a television show because there was no such thing as a buoy. Oh my goodness!
Are you serious?
No, they were making it in front of us. Can you believe that? I cannot believe that. I have a picture.
You mean to tell me that the military plays pranks on the new people? I just cannot.
Dude, I'm 17 years old. So look at this. See right here, all this windows at the very top of the pilot house, and that little ledge in front of the pilot house at the very top was nothing. You couldn't even see the place because it was covered with the entire ship laughing their heads off, taking Polaroid pictures, probably because they had like gunpowder at the very top of the thing, and it flashed, and they put more gunpowder.
Because that was going to be my next question: is how long did they leave your mail just floating in a buoy in the middle of the ocean?
Well, they didn't deliver the mail out there. There was no such thing.
Funny.
There was no such thing. There was no such thing as a mail. You're talking about the humiliating walk of a 17-year-old. The entire ship's watching you, laughing.
How
It's sort of
long
like
was that walk?
I know that's a laugh
Do
that
we have any
Pat would have really
footage of
enjoyed
this?
laughing
I
at
would
that.
pay for that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
paying money to
Hey,
see that one.
We can find footage if you'll buy it. So, so yeah, I had to walk all the way with all this equipment. We had to walk all this stuff. Oh my goodness. I went all the way to the pilot house, right with the captain, like, show me where that Melbourne. I said, show me where. I'm 17 years old, talking to this captain. He's a real great guy. Oh, he's so good. He was obviously very graceful with me. And he said, I said, show me where that Melbourne is at. He's like, right here. It's right there. I'm like, oh my goodness. Man, they suckered me in. They suckered me in.
Funny.
So if you go in the Navy, if you happen to go in the Navy, if we still have one, we don't know right now with the current administration, that there's no such thing as a Melbourne watch. There's no such thing as a crank to crank down the mask, because it looks like you're going to break the mask off when you come out under a bridge. The illusion is like they're going to hit. So they'll tell the newsletter, go get the crank. Get the crank. We're about to come under the Washington Bridge. Guy runs down to operations like, we got to have the crank. You got to have the crank. It's going to break the top of the boat off. Oh, you put a whole bunch of guys, lock them up in a tin can floating around. Oh, my goodness. All we did was mess with each other.
That is so good.
Oh, we just so messed with each other. It was not good. Of course, I was excited for who was going to have the next Buoy watch when I got in there. So that was a lot of fun. We enjoyed that. And Navy stands for never again volunteer yourself. Right? And I went straight from there to my school because I had to go. It was the delayed school type thing. I went straight from there to Mississippi. And to all of our audience in Mississippi, a big shout out to you. How y'all doing? And then that was a very interesting place because we went to Meridian, Mississippi, and they when we finally got off the base from training, we stopped at this local little restaurant type thing, and they didn't say anything, and we're sitting there, we're so excited about getting some civilian food, and all of a sudden they go, "I don't like sailors." I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna die! Oh my goodness, this is like Mississippi burning. We're gonna die over here.
Welcome.
Yeah, right. It was bad.
Check, please.
Yeah, well, we just left. Our food didn't come out. We're gone. We're gone, man. Yeah. If it's the first place, the first restaurant off the base, they're used to seeing you. Skip that one and go to a couple more up there.
Right.
Well, listen, I'm so excited about this year's Summer Glory celebration at Church of His Presence in Daphne, Alabama. It's going to be this Thursday, actually. This Thursday, July the 28th to the 31st. Take a look. You have got to be there. It's going to be this Thursday, July the 28th through the 31st, starting at 7 p.m. Central Time. You can stream it if you're somewhere else in the world. You can't get to Daphne, Alabama. It's just last year was just it seems like 400 years ago, but it was last year, right? Was it last year, Pat?
Right.
Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is Pat on the program?
I think so.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, yeah. It was last year, wasn't it? Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I got so touched by God. I mean, we showed up and just, all of us hanging out. We had a house last year, right? We had a house and
yeah, real nice house.
right there in Foley. Was it Foley?
Fairhope.
Fairhope. Beautiful place.
Very beautiful.
We had a place right across from the Mall of Fairhope where they sold hickory smoked hot wings.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
so
you,
good.
Jesus. That was amazing. Oh, the presence of the Lord was awesome too. It was awesome. And so, we had a great time at the house where we were having great meals. I think, Steve, you fixed a nice, healthy food. You cooked up salmon. It was
Fish.
the best salmon outside of Alaska salmon when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good. That was very good. But we had a great time having meals and that type of thing. But when we showed up with great expectation, for God to move and to touch us, and just dove in, and God just began to touch us powerfully. We're encouraged. We're worshiping. I think about who's all the speakers this year. Of course, you got Pastor John Kilpatrick. You have Linda Cooley's going to be doing some music.
Yeah. You got
Michael
Benny
Corleone.
Hinn.
Benny Hinn will be Thursday night. Then
Michael Corleones.
yeah, he'll be speaking. Michael, which
Steve
is
Hill.
Benny's son-in-law.
Yeah.
Who else?
There's another guy.
Steve Hill,
I
the
don't-
other.
Don't recall.
Rainey. You have Jim Rainey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jim Rainey's the one. Like, don't be. I'm not here just to eat fried chicken and shake my weave. He's got no socks on. He's a white guy, no socks on, skinny jeans, and talking about shaking his weave. I'm like, dude, what's going on? But he plays it off really good, doesn't he? It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I love to hear him talk.
Tim Hill and John Wilds are the other two.
It's going to be awesome. It really is. I mean, it's time to really. You need to really think about. Look what's happening. They just took a poll about how confident people were in our government, in our law enforcement, in our school system, and everybody across the board, no matter what political party, they felt very low of everything. There's very little hope. Even the people that voted for these guys, they don't understand. They put them in. They're feeling like they have no trust in this particular government or whatever. You need to be touched by God. You need to be, God is real. He's not a religion. He is real. He can manifest his presence. He can touch you in 1 second where you felt so dry. Maybe you're feeling so dry. I don't care if you're a pastor or a parishioner or you're not even in church lately, that you need a touch from God. You just need a touch from him. You need his glory presence to come. I know one particular night we were there, and last year at the Summer Glory Celebration, and hopefully these testimonies are going to get you encouraged to go and expect God to touch you. And don't let people, there's so many religious people that will take it from you. I mean, if they start messing with you, don't even let them mess with you. It's like, this is my blessing. Don't mess with my blessing. Mm-hmm. And so it was like the power of God just came down where we're sitting in our seats, I guess. And like the fire of God just kind of fell. And it's a good fire. It's not like a painful fire, but just hot presence, glory of God. Where my hands, I just had my eyes closed, just worshiping God. I think I was sitting down. My hands were like on fire. I literally had to move my hands like this to keep them cooled off. But it was just this power of God, the presence of God, the encouraging hug of God was just coming down so powerfully. And even when we left, I remember we left, we went back to the house, and we're a part of the Brownsville revival years ago. We had some experiences with God's glory, and it's real weird because God is power. God is a charge, and our bodies run off of electrical charges. So when God's power comes around, sometimes people kind of move a little bit, or their hand might move, or their whole body might move. We have a thing called the holy crunches. It's almost like everything contracts, and it's like doing a contraction. And it's like, it doesn't hurt, but it's like, it just happens. And so we get back, and Don and I go to sleep that night. And Brownsville was years ago. I mean, it's like 100 years ago, Brownsville revival. But Don and I are still young. Anyway, so we go to bed that night, and I'm just high on the presence of God. And the presence of God, Chris. Presence of God. and so I just my body starts doing those sit-up type things, like jerking motion like that, and it jerked the bed. And Donna and I are laying in this bed. Donna goes, "Oh," she says, she says, "Oh no." She said something like, "I gotta get some sleep." I said, "Baby, this is the glory of God." She goes, "We were younger then." And then I started laughing. It's like, okay, this is great. This is great. It was just such a good time because that's all of our family there. Pastor John Kilpatrick's my spiritual father. We're related to all those guys. And but God's presence, there's one thing about that he named his church after is the presence of God. And we're all about getting with God, spending time with God. And religion, I'm telling you, there's religion has nothing compared to God. And remember, religion was the one that was attacking Jesus, God in the flesh, when he showed up. So think about it. We are days away. If you're watching this right now live, It's this Thursday. I mean, today's what, Tuesday? So in less than 48 hours, you could be there. Exactly, almost 48 hours. Will we start worshiping God? I don't know who's going to be leading worship, but Benny Hinn will be talking, and then his son-in-law will. What's his son-in-law's name again?
Michael Koulianis.
He'll be speaking. He spoke last year. Man, it was just power. It's just so good. So
Yeah.
cool to get around people who love God. You know, it's just very exciting. And the car that I rode, I remember the car I was driving. It was Donna's car. It was so small I could barely see out of the window. It's just such a small, like a jacket. Her car's like a jacket. But yeah, we had a great time. So it's in Daphne, Alabama. You go to Church of His Presence. You probably can see it on your screen, churchofhispresence.org, or go to vinefellowshipnetwork.org and click on events, and you can see it there and find directions. And you can live stream it. If you can't make it, if you're watching us, a lot of our audience is in, in South Korea, in Asia. Listen, some of you are signing up for I Abide. We want to thank you for that. We're excited to see you signing up and begin to abide with God. But stream it. I know the time difference is going to be there. It'll be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time in America. I don't know what comparison that would be. Australia is like 24 hours, right? 24-hour difference. Is that right, Pat?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So it's this July the 28th through the 31st. Starts at 7 p.m. There's 2 services on Friday at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. 1 service on Saturday at 7 p.m. Is it right? Or 10 a.m. Saturday?
10 a.m. and 7 p.m.
No, not 7 p.m.
Oh,
Believe
it's
it or
not?
not. Yeah,
It's
believe it.
earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's an older man's conference. It's like, I got to get to bed. And then, of course, they have the Sunday gathering at 10 a.m. for people that want to be a part of that with the church. But you got to go. Would you highly recommend it?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would be your testimony about last year? We'll start alphabetically. Steve, what's your testimony about last year?
Oh, exactly. I thought you were going back. Yeah, I just one of the things that I remember was just the presence of God, even when we were gathered as a family. One of the things that was to me such a blessing was like you were saying, it wasn't just at the gathering of Church of His Presence, but just God's anointing. His presence was just there in the times of worship. But then when we were gathered as a family, it was just like it was. For lack of better words, it was like a cloud, and not like a cloud of confusion like one would think, but it was just like God was resting on us together as a family when we were gathered together.
Yeah.
When we were cooking dinner together, we were having a cup of coffee, because the beautiful thing about this is the way this is set up. And like what Greg is saying at the beginning, it's in Fairhope, which is such a beautiful water
On
coast
Gulf,
town.
yeah, on the bay.
Yeah, on the bay. And one of the morning sessions was at like 10 a.m. So you might get out at 12, 1 o'clock, and the night session isn't until 7. So you have 4 or 5 hours to have lunch, spend time with family, and just that time of being around family, putting your feet up, having a cup of coffee, enjoying a time with one another. It was just like we would look at one another multiple times, and it was just like, God is here. And it was so tangible, and it was just so I just felt like just God was how sometimes when you have to defrag your computer because there's files everywhere, you've opened up files so many times, it's just kind of discombobulated, and you shut down all your programs and you hit defrag, and it kind of puts things back where they're supposed to be. And for lack of better words, that's almost like what I felt like God was doing, was he was just kind of like giving us that rest and putting things back into that
We all
place.
need that. We all need that.
Yeah. And it was just like, to me, it was like, for me, I felt like God's presence was greater and just thicker, even when we were gathered, because what God has blessed us with, and I'm so grateful for. And I just believe, we've had many conversations before as a family, and Greg, as you have said it, we want the entire body to have this of like family coming together, talking about the Lord, not just coming together and then leaving
as strangers.
But what was so beautiful, and when you talk about it, it's just like when you share a testimony about Jesus, Jesus shows up.
Yes.
and we would sit around, and I remember just being in tears of just like, he was so awesome. His presence was there. We would be talking about worship. We'd be talking about, I can just feel it right now.
Yeah.
We'd be talking about what God was, what God was revealing to somebody in worship. Or, you know, I remember Blake shared a testimony, and it was just like, you know, God's presence was just like, he's awesome. And then we would talk about a teaching, or somebody spoke something, and we were sharing about a scripture or something. And it was just like God's presence was manifesting, and it was increasing even greater than it was during the time of worship or during the time of the message.
Like it built.
It was just
it's like it built on top of each other.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah. And it was just like each day, it was just picking up. And to me, it was like God was just showing me, he's like, that's what he wants. Not just quote unquote at the building, but for that family to come around and to testify about him, because that's what he says.
You know, you think about it, even when we were making snacks at midnight, we were laughing.
Yeah.
God's presence is coming down. We love to eat in fellowship, don't we? But Jesus loved to eat in fellowship. I mean,
right.
It's about relationship. People are going to be so shocked when they get to heaven. They're going to go like, do I have to talk to them? That's your family. That's your brother. That's your sister. No divisiveness in heaven. And I think about, too, the amazing experience of being in Fairhope in July, strolling down the sidewalk, Pat, and watching you experience the beautiful summer heat. Talk about that. It's like hot. It's like, man, God's moving. It's hot. It's hot.
Oh, yeah. I remember one year I sweated so bad we went walking somewhere. I had to go to the store buy another shirt because it was soaking wet.
Yeah. Well, this is a guy you work out all the time. If anybody sweats, you sweat. You know?
That's intentional. I don't wear dress-up clothes to work out in.
Was those dress-up clothes you were wearing? Anyway, so
he was wearing his 3-piece suit.
Say if you're in, I was going to tell you about a secret ice cream place there, but it's not.
Oh, right.
I don't know if I want to mention that because we won't get any. It will be a big long line outside of it. But there is a place. Is it called Scoops or Mr. Beans or something?
Yeah, one of those sounds right.
Yes, Mr. Beans, Mr. Bean Scoops. And so, but I'm telling you, I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm very excited about it. You know, we're going to be there. Look us up. You know, if you see us, you know, wave us down. We want to say hello and want to just worship God with you and just go after God. This could be, I'm telling you, you know, that we're at a precipice. We're at a time in the world, in America, where evil people are being charged by the demonic realm to do things which could very well be the last days here on earth. Wouldn't you rather be in the presence of God, who you're going to be spending eternity with, than watching some whatever you're going to be, whatever? What's more important than God? Can you imagine standing before God and going, yes, I was watching YouTube when you showed up, Jesus. I mean, a lot of people didn't show up when Jesus showed up. You know, we read scriptures about people that were around him, but the majority of the people didn't show up. He says, if you miss the time of your visitation, it'll be tougher for you than it was, I think, for what, Sodom and Gomorrah maybe, or something like that. Chorazin. Check that back. Anyway, so little humor moments without having humor moments.
Yeah,
so, but listen, it's just good. It's just good. Just go there, relax, enjoy. Everybody there wants the same thing you want. It's more of God, to meet people who love Jesus too, who may be desperate for a touch, because anybody that's been in this world and loving God and seeing the brokenness of the world of society right now, I'm telling you, you need a touch from God. And I remember at the Brownsville revival that, you know, people came from all around the world. They didn't want religion. They didn't want a message from a preacher. They didn't care if they stood in the sun all day long in the Florida sun. They wanted to go in and experience the tangible presence of the glory of God. And God would show up powerful. They came from all around the world, and God touched them. And they went back into their places. And there's a coming move of God, a coming revival of God. I don't have that probably on our that's a dream, but listen, you can go back and just search for it. But God has shown me there's a powerful glory outpouring coming that's going to be so big it's going to touch the nations of the world, and it's going to happen in the glory zone. That's why we call this the glory zone. You know, the Greg Lancaster show, Live from the Glory Zone, because God's going to pour out his glory again in a powerful way. And I saw all the nations coming in, all of us coming in. We're all family. We're all related. There's this holy hush over all of us, and we're doing whatever it takes to be able to help people know God. It's just going to be, this could be the moment. This could be the moment. We showed up on Father's Day, 1995. I was there with Pastor John Kilpatrick and the regular church that we go to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. And I was doing, I think, the men's ministry and the marriage ministry with my wife. And it was just a typical Sunday for us. You know, Pastor John Kilpatrick's mother had just passed away. Yeah, he didn't want to even be there that morning. He just needed time to be away, to rest, to recover from significant things that he's going through. But he showed up because it was Father's Day, and he was going to present a Father's Day gift to a father whose wife abandoned him and the child, and his father took both roles. And so he showed up. But Steve Hill was scheduled to speak that night of Father's Day. And Pastor Kilpatrick said, "Can you just speak this morning?" I'm not speaking this morning. And of course, Steve took it. We went in there to pray for Pastor Kilpatrick because we were doing that at that time, to pray for him. We were part of a Promise Keepers group type thing. And he said, "Pray for him," you know. And Steve's like on fire. He's like, you know, he's just on fire. He just got touched. Steve Hill did. And we're like Pentecostals. Anyway, so we pray for him. We lay hands on him, but we're feeling more God touching us. Pat, were you there for that prayer?
Which one?
When we went in there to pray for Pastor Kilpatrick that Father's Day 95? Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, you were. No, never mind. You didn't know Jesus
sir.
yet. You didn't know Jesus yet. And so, you know, so then we go back out that day. And so we're still thinking it's going to be a typical service. Like this Thursday, you're thinking it's just going to be a church conference. It's going to be a church service. That's what we were thinking. But guess what? After he preached, "Remember the wonders of the Lord," Steve Hill did. He said, "I'm going to pray for you." Now, Pastor Kilpatrick told him, "Don't be praying for people because we're going to get out of here. They need to go out and have dinner with their fathers." And so Steve's going to pray for people and start laying hands on people. And being a Pentecostal church, we're kind of used to that. And he started praying for us, and it was, you know, it was nice. But then all of a sudden, it was like a prime and a pump. The more he prayed for us, the more of God's presence would come. And we haven't experienced God's presence. I haven't experienced God. I don't think any of us experienced God's presence like we're about to experience. And then all of a sudden, it was just like a deluge. It's like you're hungry enough. You want me enough. You're willing to put everything aside enough. You know, that this is the place I'm going to pick to pour out my spirit. And it's like the floodgates of heaven just opened up and just poured out. And it was so powerful. And I was reading Pastor John Kilpatrick's new book. It's actually the second edition, but it's really a rewrite. It is a beautiful rewrite, you know, When the Heavens Are Brass. And he's talking about what happened was, you know, when God's glory presence came in, God just took him down under the glory, and he just kind of laid under the presence of God, and God was healing him and working with him, because he might have would have stopped some of the things that was going on, because it just seemed so new for us. And he said, God taught me. He wrote in the book that God taught me to put my finger in my pocket, don't point. So, because it was pretty wild. I mean, it was so different than what we're used to. And then God just took over. I mean, it totally took over. And this summer glory celebration might be that moment. Don't you want to be there when that happens?
Let it be, Lord.
It's not something you work up. It's something God does. It's just something he does, you know. And we're a whole bunch of broken people who doing our best to serve the Lord, and God showed up and healed us all, and then sent the word. It was so powerful. So listen, this starts this Thursday night, July 21st, 28th through the 31st, Thursday night through Sunday. You got to be there. Be a part. You don't know when it's going to happen, what is going to happen, but Lord, we say, God, do it again. Amen? Amen. Well, listen, I don't know if you know it or not, but the Tuttle twins, I love the Tuttle twins. Right now, nobody, not even Congress people or senators, maybe some of them do, but they forgot it. They don't know about the Constitution. They don't know how America was formed. They've forgotten about your rights. And so the Tuttle twins are writing about those things. As a matter of fact, take a look at this and I'll show you more.
We've all heard this phrase a million times. Those who don't learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. But look around you. Our society is full of people who went to school, who were supposedly taught American history, yet who love socialism and attack the ideas that America was founded upon: individual liberty, property rights, and free markets. It seems that the rising generation isn't learning from the past, and that's no surprise since nearly every social studies book only teaches kids about the past: names, dates, places, and other superficial factoids. Today's textbooks miserably fail when it comes to explaining the ideas, the values, and the philosophies that led America's founding fathers to do what they did. Put simply, children today aren't being taught to learn from the past, and we're all paying the price. For the past 2 years, we've been working on a solution, and it couldn't have come at a better time. With Marxist organizations and activists trying to rewrite the past and cast aside the principles embraced by our founding generation, the need has never been greater for educational material to help our children learn the truth. That's why I'm excited to share with you our solution to this problem: a Tuttle Twins textbook that teaches American history. Imagine if your children could learn about American history in a way that explains not just the events of the past, but also the ideas that led them to happen. It's those ideas that can be applied in our day. And if we understand how and why things happened in the past, then we can actually learn from them. It all starts with understanding our history. And there's no better way for your children to learn history than through fun storytelling and entertaining illustrations. Our team has sold over 4 million Tuttle Twins books, and in consultation with a variety of historians to guide our work, we've created a 240-page, fully illustrated book to teach the inspiring stories of our country's past. It's a beautiful book, but more importantly, it teaches important ideas from our past so your kids can apply them to their lives today. And while our high-quality hardback book is great as a standalone reader, we also have a companion curriculum workbook and a wonderfully produced audiobook to help your children learn even more about America's past. There are many problems in our country today, and parents like you want to be part of the solution but often don't know how. Teaching your kids the truth about our history is the first step. Buy your copy of America's History from the Tuttle Twins team today and start reading as a family. And together, let's learn from the past to create a better future.
Off the press, I have my copy of American History from the year 1215 to 1776. This is their first edition. This is kind of my speed of history. I mean, it's like the
Right.
Tuttle Twins is wonderful. Think about this. You know, what nations did for years, you can find out more at TuttleTwinsGreg.com. What they did for years is they would, if you have oil and I don't have oil, they would come and raid your country and they have a war with you, and they would take your oil. If you had water and they had no water, they would come and kill you for the water and enslave you. Well, instead of raiding for war, we started trading. Like, hey, instead of killing you, why don't we trade something that we have for something you have? So they summed all that up with this one sentence: instead of raiding, trading. Isn't that cool? I can remember that as a kid. And so that's what stops wars. And now you're looking at where these things are escalating, and they're talking about trade and, you know, things not going well. That means war is possible. So he talks about, you know, there's some, like, is it called the 1614 Project or something like that? Well, this goes all the way back to 1215. This is the true history of what's going on, you know, all of it, good, bad, and ugly. And it goes all the way from the new world of trade, new lands and ideas, far across the sea, the dawn of human rights, which was a new thing. These rights we have now is an anomaly compared to the way the world used to be. And God can still move no matter what the government is. The nature of empires, the king's grip, the blowback from Boston. I guess that's the Tea Party that was going on. All the things that were going on there. The road to war, the recipe for cooperation, loyalties, and so much more. I mean, you got to get this book for you. I mean, you could read it to your kids, but you're going to learn a lot. You can go to TuttleTwinsGreg.com, TuttleTwinsGreg.com, and they have so many wonderful things there to be able to get this knowledge while you can, because you could be so many people right now are running for a political office, and they say this, they say, I never thought I would be in politics. Matter of fact, I didn't like politicians. I didn't want to be in politics. I never would have told you I would have ran in politics, but I'm seeing the trouble going on. I'm seeing difficulty going on. And they said, I have no choice to be a member of the school board, or to be a member of the local city council, or to be a congressperson or a senator. And you need to know the stuff about our founding now and our Constitution now. So when you go there and you stand before, your group of people in your community, or maybe even on the news, somebody got a mic in your face and they're talking to you about something, you can say, well, no, actually, I can take you back to 1215 and how this all thing came to pass. And America was discovered as we know it by a people that just sought and they wanted to be able to worship God. They made a covenant with God. They were being treated horrifically because the Bible had gotten, they talk about this too in there, that the Gutenberg printing press has been invented, and the Bible was getting out in people's hands, and the religious Pharisees of the day didn't want people to have that. And it was Tyndall, wasn't it Tyndall? And you can tell me the other one while we're thinking. We did a whole program on this. You can see it probably down in related links, but people gave their lives to be able to have a Bible in their hand, and very few people could read. So they get one big Bible for their city or their community, and they would read it, and people would sit around. We call that the church today. But then I think it was Queen Elizabeth began to just persecute. They called them Puritans. You Puritans. It was a curse word, really, because they were literally believing that they could have an encounter with God, and that God's word was personally to them. And so they began to apply it, and they realized that this religion and government, this mixed together here, where the government starts trying to take over religion. And they did. They literally took over religion, but they were fighting the Catholic Church, who took over government. And so the Church of England, Bishop's Bible, the Church of England, all that kind of stuff. We talk about all those details. But they literally had to go away. They had to escape and get on a boat. I think it was Pastor Roberts that ended up with like 70-something people from his church that ended up landing in what we know as Plymouth Rock in America now, just so they could worship God freely. That's all they were trying to do is to worship God freely. And there was the First Nation people were here, the Indians. And so the Indians and the Pilgrims worked hand in hand. That's how we learned about corn. Corn comes from America. That's where we learned about, the turkeys and Thanksgiving. It was celebrating together. It was later that people came in and started dividing people and doing different things. But the Bible says that we're to be a friend to our neighbor. We're to love our neighbor. And the Pilgrims were operating. But you can find all that out about our founding at Tuttle Twins. Go to TuttleTwinsGreg.com. Well, listen, we were pumped about sharing with you about how God turns things around. And they just told me got 10 minutes. So you're looking there. We serve a God who can turn things around. All we can really do is kind of talk about the message, I guess. A testimony, because you can go right now to vinefellowshipnetwork.org. You can see that on your screen, and click on media, and you'll see recent messages, because it was this Sunday we taught on we serve a God who turns things around. And we'll talk more about this in a future program, but understand this. Everybody thinks, they believe the lie of the enemy that people are perfect and that God chooses perfect people and that these people were perfect. That's why God chose them. And the reality is, if people were perfect, then Jesus died in vain. But they're not perfect. None of us are perfect. And when you hear this message, you got to hear this message. You got to watch it, hear it or watch it, either one. You'll be so encouraged. I mean, I don't want to say you're going to be encouraged because you see all the flaws in humanity and you see, oh, they got issues, but I mean, you look at Israel, that's a person's name. God gave this man this name, Israel. But his previous name prior to that, before God naming him, was Jacob. And Jacob means deceiver. And when you look at Jacob's life, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, just look at Jacob's life. It was a mess. I mean, wouldn't you say it was a mess, Pat? Do you think it was a mess, man?
That was very much a mess.
Well, how bad of a mess? Talk to me about it.
Oh gosh, where do we start? Him, he first thought he was marrying his sweetheart, and then it turns around, he ends up marrying his sweetheart's sister. Then 7 years later, he gets his sweetheart, but then he has to work for his sweetheart's uncle for another 7 years. So
And his sweetheart was so beautiful when he first saw her.
Yeah.
He walked up to her and kissed her and began. And this woman was so beautiful, he began crying. That's beautiful, right?
Didn't he put a ring in her nose too?
Oh, that was Rebecca.
That was Rebecca. Okay, so he doesn't promote it. All right, got it. So yeah, it gets worse after that.
So yeah, so he's like, cutting this deal with Laban, his uncle, but he's actually running from his brother who's wanting to kill him, Esau, his twin brother, right? And that he snuck into the room. His dad couldn't see because he's losing his sight. Isaac, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Jacob goes into his dad's tent or house, and he said basically, "I am Esau." He goes, "You don't sound like Jacob," and he put like goat hair on his. I mean, this whole message talks about this. We have not very little time talking about it, but he made himself look like, smell like, his brother, his twin brother, and finally he gave him the blessing that Father gives. That could just speak so many volumes of the power of a father's words. I mean, you want the Father's blessing. You really want that blessing. And there was only one blessing to give for the eldest son. And so he gave it to Jacob thinking it was Esau. And so when Esau shows up a little bit after that, Esau says, "What about me?" He goes, "I already gave it to your brother." Right? Like, "Don't you have another one?" He's like, "Nope." And so he gave him the opposite, basically, of this amazing blessing that Jacob got. Then Jacob had to run for his life because Esau was going to kill him. This is the lineage of the Jews, So if you think your church has issues, hello. Anyway, so then he's, like Pat said, he's running for his life. He sees this beautiful woman named Rachel, and he finds out that they're cousins, first removed or something. I don't know. I had no idea what that means. Anyway, so he says, "Listen, I'll work 7 years. I'll work 7 years for this woman. This woman is so amazing. I saw her in the mall today. She is so amazing that I'll work 7 years for her." There's so many men that won't even work a week. So they won't. It's amazing. Like, no, we just kind of like, what do they call that? They slide over like back in front.
Swipe right.
Yeah.
Not swipe.
He just swiped once and waited 7 years.
Right.
This is the real world, by the way. That's actually how it works. And so he worked 7 years. Can you imagine every single day? He's like, "Oh, I'm going to marry Rachel. She's so beautiful. Oh my goodness." His imagination's like, poof. He just see her walk home. Like, "Oh my goodness, she's going to Uncle Laban's house tonight. Maybe I can have dinner with her tonight." And then, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, and all of a sudden it's like, here it is. This is the moment we're going to get married. I'm going to finally marry this woman that I saw at the well, that I met when I was running from my brother for stealing the blessing. So, he goes to his tent at night. The father brings his daughter in the middle of the night, so he couldn't see. So in his head all night long, he was with Rachel. Oh, Rachel. In his head, he kissed Rachel, and he hugged Rachel. He smelt Rachel. But in the morning when he woke up, he saw Leah. It's like, who's this woman I'm in bed with, right? And it was like the father deceived Jacob, and took Leah instead of Rachel, who he worked for 7 years, and snuck her in the night, slid her up under this mind. And his mind was so bent on Rachel, he could have sworn he was with Rachel. So the sun came up and she could stand both watches at the same time. Anyway, so he goes to his uncle and says, "Yo, dude, what's going on here, man? This is your daughter?" I had no idea. I thought, and he goes, "It's all right. Listen, she's the oldest one, so we marry the oldest first, and then we'll marry Rachel's." Like, we didn't talk about this. Right? Hello.
You gotta work on your timing.
Yeah, right.
Hello.
I might have had a different answer. I didn't even think about Leah. He said, "But I'll tell you what. After you finish your wedding week with Leah, Then I'll give you Rachel. You can have a wedding week with her, and you work for me another 7 years, and you can have them both. I can imagine that first wedding week with Leah's like, so tell me about your father. What's going on? Neat. Oh, yeah. Where'd you go to school at? Oh, you didn't. Okay. So how long you been tending sheep? So anyway, so then he has to work 14 years for this Rachel. And then he deceives her more and deceives him more. Laban does, his boss. If you think you got a bad boss, it's just, listen, hold on. God's going to turn all this around. This whole message is about, and you go to vinefellowshipnetwork.org and click on media, and you can see recent messages. It's called "We Serve a God Who Turns Things Around," and so, long story short, very short because they're cutting my time short here, is that so he has 2 wives now, and so many people would say that's a mistake. How could this be a mistake? And so he had Leah, his first wife, and he had Rachel, his second wife. They had, non-paid employees. We would call them servants. And so God closed the womb of Rachel, who he loved and wanted to marry, and he opened the womb of the one who snuck in the middle of the night, right? And he's like, so literally, she started cranking out the baby somehow. Rachel wasn't having any. And there's a lot of contention that began between the two of them. But one of the children that she birthed was Judah. The tribe of Judah comes from Leah. So the one that you think you got the wrong marriage, you got the wrong situation. I'll tell you what. And God saw that she wasn't loved by Jacob. He saw that. And because of that, he opened her womb and allowed her to birth Judah. Judah is the lineage of the tribe that birthed the Son of God, that God chose to have his son birth through. Tribe of Judah, that came through Leah, not through Rachel. No, Joseph comes through Rachel. So it's a pretty amazing thing. So the 12 tribes of Israel was birthed out of that whole relationship there. I'll talk about it in in that message. It's just going to really encourage you, because in the end, a long story short, is that heaven is where we're all going to go. A new heaven, a new earth. Everything that you know is going to pass away, and all things are going to become new. No more sickness, no more disease, no more things that cause pain. And we're going to come into this beautiful walled city. It's a walled city, and it has gates, and it's gates made of pearls, and each gate has a name. And the name over each gate, by the way, the name over each gate is one of those 12 children that was birthed by those 2 women during that moment that I just talked about. One of their children, so one of those gates are going to be named, this is their children's name: the Reuben gate, the Simeon gate, the Levi gate, the Judah gate, the Dan gate, Naphtali gate, the Gad gate, the Asher gate, the Issachar gate, the Zebulun gate, the Joseph gate, and the Benjamin gate, and Watergate. No, I added that. Okay, listen. God took a mess. He turned it around through his son. He gave his son, because every one of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And he, through his son's sacrifice on the cross, made it available to us to be forgiven, to be in the family of God, to put their names on the gates of heaven. And the foundations of those walls in heaven is the 12 disciples' names. Jesus' 12 disciples. They're like 12 foundations, like the Andrew Foundation, the Bartholomew Foundation, the James, the son of Zebedee Foundation, James, the son of Alphaeus Foundation, the John Foundation, the Judas, not the one that betrayed him, Foundation, the Jude Foundation, the Matthew and Matthias Foundation. I mean, think about that. The Simon Peter Foundation, the Phillips Foundation, and the Simon the Zealot Foundation. Think about, what is he putting you? He says, we're like living stones being built together in it's a royal priesthood being put together for a holy habitation for our God. And God dwells in heaven. And I just want to encourage you right now. Go watch the message, but right now make a decision. I want to be in heaven. I want to make it there. I want to be there. I want God to turn my life around. You can do that by accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. We have a place for you. It's called Know God, KNOW, greglancaster.org/KNOW, Know God, to find out more. But just say, Jesus, talk to him right now. Say, Jesus, I want you to be the Lord of my life. I have sinned. I've made a mess of my life. Just hearing briefly, Jesus, about Jacob's life, that sounds like my life. I made a mess of it, God. God, would you forgive me? Would you cleanse me? Would you wash me? Jesus, I want you to be the Lord of my life. I ask this in Jesus' name. If you prayed that prayer and you meant it, welcome to the family of God. Go to greglancaster.org/know God to find out more. And thanks so much, and we'll see you at the Summer Glory Celebration.
You know, a lot of people want to abide with the Lord, but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org.